I'm walking in my purpose. I'm walking in my purpose. I'm walking in my purpose. I'm walking in my purpose.
So today with us on Stool Talk, we're honored to have a special guest. Here on Stool Talk, we walk in our purpose on purpose, and today's guest is definitely doing that. Matter of fact, she's balling in her purpose. When I got presented, when I started hearing her name, it was interviewing young soccer players, that looked up to her, and that's what we do here on Stool Talk. We allow journeys to be spoken of, be seen through the eyes of the athlete, and for the younger generation to be able to be encouraged. We have today with us an All-American player of the week, multi-time defensive player of the week. Defensive player of the year. Like, this is just a great athlete that we have. Today we have with us the one, the only Mrs. Brandi Peterson. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for that amazing introduction.
Yeah. But yeah, and I couldn't believe it because like shout out to Coach TJ too and the Wyoming soccer team. They're amazing and I learned so much from these young ladies, young athletes. And you could tell which ones is really in the game and who they following and they mention different names. So I got to look up the names of who they saying. So it's just amazing. How did soccer first start for you and was that even your first sport?
So it was my first sport. I actually started when I was 3 years old. Amongst that, I played many other sports. So I played basketball, I did gymnastics, I did like the t-ball. So my parents just put me in everything basically.
Yeah.
And um, as I got close to high school and I started doing more travel sports, they were kind of like, you got to choose one. You got to choose one because that's a lot of money. Um, but ultimately, it came down. I was like, do I want to do soccer or do I want to do basketball? And then I kind of just went where I felt like naturally I was the most gifted and also kind of had more fun out there. So that's how I ultimately ended up choosing soccer.
What would be your words of encouragement for the youth, the younger athletes who are going through that same thing, who have to choose a sport? Because I'm talking to coaches and parents, and they saying the
Hmm.
way the schedules is, the way that the seasons is prolonged, and the
Hmm.
athlete is having to choose. So, what would you be able to say to that young athlete in making a choice?
Oh, take your time really thinking through the decision, first of all. Um, don't limit yourself if you don't have to. So if you can keep playing both. But ultimately, just go where your heart lies the most.
Yeah, definitely. And what does hard work mean to you? What did hard work develop inside you to become that All-American that you are?
Oh my gosh. Okay, hard work for me. Um, I'm gonna make this a long story, okay?
You got time?
Okay. Um, so hard work for me. I think it was something that was just ingrained in me growing up, just having parents who were both athletes, older brother, multi-sport athlete too. So it was just kind of like a thing in our family, I would say. Um, but I think when I really learned what hard work was when I transitioned from high school to college.
Okay.
Um, so for me, I think soccer before that, it was like it came a little easy. And it's like I had to work hard, but maybe not 110% all the time when it was like high school soccer. In college, when that came along, it was like, oh, okay, this is a different ball game. And I think for me, my biggest change came, it was after my sophomore season. I had a conversation with my coaches, and they didn't have much to critique on my game except for my fitness. And so I struggled with our fitness tests and stuff my freshman and sophomore year. And basically, right after my sophomore year, that's when 2020 COVID happened. And so when I was in lockdown during that time, I was like, if that's the only thing my coaches can say about me, I was like, I'm not gonna let that be a thing anymore. That's basically just what I told myself. And during COVID, I came up with this little workout plan for myself and I stuck to it. And if I didn't meet certain times or goals, I had like a little punishment, aka like an extra workout I had to do. So I really stuck to that plan. And it was like when I showed up my junior year, because that's when like I kind of started receiving accolades and getting more notice. It was definitely a result of that time in lockdown and just believing I could do it and setting my mind to it and doing that. And then it was like I came out and it was like everyone was like, "Who is this player?"
You
So
you
yeah.
self-motivated because if you taught yourself and spoke to yourself, or God put that inside you to like, hey, this is what you need to do. Like a lot
Um,
of players can't grasp that. They gotta be pushed, they
mhm,
gotta be getting in trouble
mhm.
by the coaches. So that's amazing that you even had that inside of you.
See, what I tell myself is I would rather struggle in private than in public. So I'd rather struggle on my own in the gym by myself and show up and be able to perform. And so like that was just that mindset, especially like during COVID, we had so much time. And so it was like, I have time to really do this. And yeah, I just set my mind to it.
Mm. So after you start receiving the accolades, but what's amazing about you, you didn't just receive accolades on the field. You were a scholar athletic too, scholar All-American
Mhm.
as well. When you first started receiving these, what made you continue to push and not get back complacent?
Yeah. I think I think during that time, that's when I really started having fun with soccer. And it was like, I guess maybe that time during COVID when it was like I set my mind to something and I really was able to do it. It was like, wait, I could continue to do this.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
I think that's kind of just the mindset that I had to keep pushing and going forward. It was like, well, I could do this now. I could probably do more too then. Um,
yeah.
so I think during that time, the accolades and stuff, it helped like the confidence build and it it just made the game simpler for me. Um, and yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah. And after you did 4 years at TCU, then you went to USC. Did you have an extra year or what made you switch?
Yeah, so I had an extra year because of COVID. And ultimately, it kind of came down to I feel like I had done my time at TCU. I got my degree in kinesiology from TCU. And we were looking at grad programs at TCU, but I think it was like one of those things where it's like you've outgrown a place, like you've learned, you've grown so much. And it was like, for me personally, I knew I didn't want to play soccer after. And so it was kind of like the grad program is one of the most important parts of it. And it was like, if I could see a new experience, meet new people, and ultimately for like me with USC, the grad program resonated with me, the
Yeah.
aspect. So I had like three criteria when I was looking to transfer schools. And so top one was good grad program. Number two was diversity, either within the team or the area. And what was the last one? Dang. But I had whatever my criteria. Oh, I wanted to live in or near a major city. So that was my three criteria for what I wanted with my grad school experience. And ultimately, I got that at USC.
And these Georgia schools let you get out their backyard.
They did. They did. Well,
Oh, when I seen that, because I live in Powder Springs, so I'm getting
uh,
familiar with more of the schools and all like that, and even the colleges and recruiting. I'm like, it's a
mhm,
lot of people that's from Georgia that's going away and excelling, which is good for the athlete. Would
mhm.
have thought they would be like, oh, you got one more year. Look, this is what we can offer you.
See, that was also part of it because I did visit Georgia during that time, and I did really
Okay.
enjoy my visit. But ultimately, I resonated with USC more. Um, but even part of why I chose USC was I had four other girls I played with when I was young from Georgia who played for USC. So
Got
I
you.
was also talking to them through the process. And yeah, so it was kind of like this little reunion we had at USC.
Yeah, and then before I ask you this next question, I want to shout out Jerry Eastern a second. He just signed to USC, so he'll be going there. But we got alumni because I'm originally from Toledo, Ohio, so we got
Mhm,
alumni from back in the days. Calvin Banks for basketball, Fred Davis for football, um,
mhm,
Mara Scott for track. She's from there too as well. So and Victoria Macanjuola, that's a social media. She got her own page. She's doing amazing things and stuff. So USC is great and great things is coming out of
mhm.
USC. What will be your words of encouragement for the youth in choosing the right schools or someone that's at a college that might want to transfer?
I'd say first, look at the school as a whole, not just your sport. Because at the end of the day, you never know what's going to happen. You never know when injury is going to pop up, anything like that. And you need to enjoy where you are. You need to enjoy the school. You need to think like, do I want to be in or near a major city, or am I okay being in a small college town? I think these were definitely factors I didn't consider in my process. It worked out for me, but I think younger people, it's like, yes, all the things need to align with the sport, but the school as a whole needs to align with you and your
Yeah.
goals.
How would you compare the experiences at TCU and USC, academically and athletically?
Um, so I'd say TCU was my like, I feel like really growing into myself period, where it was like you're kind of going from like you're a kid at 18, but you're going from like a kid to like an adult, and like you're really growing up during that time. So for me, my experience like athletically, I couldn't have asked for like a better transition for myself and like the environment I was in. Because I think ultimately, like when I look at my senior year and I look back at my freshman year, I'm like, I would have never thought like all this would have come out of this. So athletically, I think I checked off every box that I wanted to when committing to that school. And then academically, kind of same thing. It was also like that same transition period I had with soccer during COVID, where it was like, I have goals and I can reach them. And that's how I felt like athletically and academically. And almost my last 2 years, I was very close to having a 4.0 that whole time. And so that was just like, I think a part of it was the people I was surrounded by, the people in my major, like we had our little study groups, we made things work. Um, so academically, same thing. It was just like checking off all the boxes I thought. And like, again, my freshman year, what I achieved by my senior year is not what I thought I could have achieved. Like it was more than I ever thought.
Yeah.
And then I'd say at USC, my experience with soccer was different because I feel like it was like this like victory lap year where it's like this is my last year playing soccer. I'm gonna make the most of it. I'm gonna have fun with it. And that I feel like that's exactly what happened. That year we ended up getting out in the tournament in the first round. And that team was so talented, and I believe we could have gone so far. So that's the only thing I didn't like about that year.
Uh,
Was I was like,
what type of leader was you when you transitioned? Was you leading
oh,
with your play vocally because you were more experienced?
it was vocally and just like how you show up every day. Because I remember like even over summer, because I came to USC over the summer, and the schools are a little different. So TCU requires you to start your workouts and stuff over summer, and USC gave a little more like freedom with that. So you didn't have to come back till August for USC. So I was there over summer, and it was just like for me, it was like this is this opportunity to get acclimated, to meet people, to meet our strength coach, and like even the days we didn't have that, it was like me and a couple of my teammates like, oh, you want to go for a run today? You want to do this together? Um, so I think one, showing that initial drive and work ethic was definitely like a big like eye opener maybe to like younger individuals on the team. Um, so I'll say that definitely. And then I think just in my position, I played center back and outside back. But as a defender, it's like you have to have a voice because like you just have to. So I think that just came naturally. Um, but yeah, I think it was the combination of like proving your work ethic and everything to all the new people you're meeting, and then as well as performing and showing up on the field and using your voice when you can.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What does faith mean to you, and how did your faith allow you to make it through transition, be strengthened, and all that? What you do? I want to
Okay.
know, how do you balance all of this? Like, wow.
Uh, I have another story for you. Okay, so faith, uh, faith has always been a big thing to me in the past couple of years. Like my relationship with God has grown 10 times over. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. But I'm gonna take you back to the same period when everything kind of like transitioned for me, right before COVID. And so in December 2019, so that was right after my sophomore season, my father had passed. And my father was like literally my biggest motivator, biggest cheerleader. When I was going through hard times, he's who I called. Um, so he he just inspired me so much. And when he passed, I remember it was like 2, 3 days after he passed, I had gone to the gym for the first time since. And I was sitting in the parking lot and I played this song that my father had told me about a month before he passed. I was talking to him on the phone about our fitness test, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna pass, and freaking out, whatever. Yeah, and he told me about the song. It's called "Don't You Worry About Me" by Lucas Graham, and he had me listen to that song, and I was like, okay, thanks, Dad. But after he passed, um, those couple days after when I had gone to the gym, I was sitting in the parking lot and I played that song. And the song says, a lot of people told me when Daddy passed away, go take some time off, but I got no time to waste. Don't you have a dream too, some goals you'd like to make? You may feel small sometimes. It don't mean you can't be great. And so like for me at that time, I just remember like sitting in the parking lot crying to that song when I heard those lines because I was just like, my dad is like still with me, rooting for me. Um, and I think that was, well, I like to me, it's like that was God giving you this tidbit of like, keep going, like, don't let this stop you. And I'll say that was absolutely my biggest like motivation during those next few years. It was like my dad always believed in me. Uh, and it was just like, I'm gonna make him proud. And I think I did.
Yeah, yeah, definitely,
um,
definitely.
but that was like definitely part of like um having faith that it's like everything happens for a reason and it'll all be okay in the end. And that's something I carry with me like every day. It's like, what am like, I just want to wake up and do God's will ultimately, and make him proud. And that, I feel like that is what allows me to show up every day and get as much done or do as much as I do each day. Because I just know like at the end of the day, like this is what the Lord wants me to do.
Yeah, definitely. And what has been your biggest highlight at TCU and at USC that sticks out?
Yeah. So TCU, I would say um, it was winning the conference my junior year. We won the conference my junior year, and we made it to the Elite Eight that year. That was the farthest we had ever made it in the tournament. Yeah. And that was also a special year because that was the year after COVID, but it was like you still had all the COVID restrictions, everything. So instead of playing just in the fall season, we played a full year. So we played fall and spring that year. And it was like, one, obviously, it was a unique time where it's like you can't hang out with people the same way. You just can't do as much. We don't even have classes in person like during this time. And so it was a very unique time, but it also like the few people we could be with were our teammates. We still got to practice. We still got to show up every day. And so I think that just made us like even closer. And I think of like that team, it was like we were a talented team, but I think our team culture and chemistry is like what carried us so far. And it was almost like this full year of like grinding it out together under the most unique circumstances. And it was just like winning the conference was so like just full of joy. And then our tournament run was just unreal. So that's my favorite moment from TCU.
What about USC?
USC, I think, oh, is there a specific game? I'd say USC was being reunited with the girls I played with when I was young. And it's like the little things. Like I remember, so I had a friend who transferred, her name's Nicole Payne. She transferred from West Virginia. So the year prior, we were battling it out in like conference tournaments, championships in the Big 12. And now we've moved across the country. And I'm playing left back and she's playing right back for USC. And I just remember like we took pictures for like the transfers. And so it was like me and her, and we're just like, this is so unreal.
Right.
Um, like just the fact that like we're here right now. I don't know, it's just crazy. And so not just her, Croy Bethune, Lily Babalola, Simi Awujo, like all of them. It was just like this reminder from our childhood when, we're all driving across town to go to practice together. And it's like, that's the only, we see each other 3, 4 times a week for years and years and years. And then we go our separate ways for college. And so it was nice to like kind of have that little reunion. Yeah.
Do you where do you keep your ring? Do you keep it put up? Do you wear it sometimes for your conference championship?
So we have like I'm gonna turn the camera for you. We have like a little trophy thing at my home. Can you
Oh,
see
wow.
it?
Wow.
So that's all our trophies from when we were young. So yeah. So that's where all that stuff is kept.
Uh, How do how did being a student athlete prepare you for life after sports?
So I would say overall, the mindset you have and like almost like these unwritten rules and expectations you have for yourself, like down to like little things like 5 minutes early. Like you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. Like those little things I realized like everyone does not have that same like mentality. Like even like work ethic, the like problem solving, figuring things out where it's like, like in a game, it's like we have to figure this out now because there's only 90 minutes in a game. So all that definitely translates into the work life. And again, I didn't realize until like working in multiple settings, the amount of people who it's like they just don't have like the punctuality thing, the
Yeah.
the showing up and it's like 100% the whole time you're there. Like a lot of people don't have that. And I was like, yeah, works for me. I'll show up and do it.
Yeah. What inspired you to pursue a graduate degree in entrepreneurship and innovation?
So this was a long, hard thought out process. So when I first was going into the transfer portal and it was like, okay, what do I want to do for a grad program? I wasn't sure. I knew I wanted to do something in business because my background is kinesiology. And I was like, I just think everyone needs to have some sort of a business background as well. And so that was my initial thought process. And I had looked into like business analytics for a little bit. I had looked at like MBA programs. Um, but ultimately, I was pulled towards entrepreneurship. And I've always had like a creative, kind of free spirited mind where I'm like, think outside the box and this is a possibility. Um, and I have this very large overarching business that I think I will come to fruition one day. Um, and I don't know, it's still being fully thought out. But during that time, it was like when I was in the transfer process, I had first thought of this business and I was kind of like, this would be cool. But I didn't know like even the first step to take
Yeah.
to do it. And so that's part of how I chose the entrepreneurship and innovation. And I think like I am beyond grateful for that program because it gave me a perspective like far beyond anything I could ever imagine. And I think it was like the combination of, being in California versus like being in the South. You're surrounded by a different set of people with different mindsets. And also like my grad program, half my grad program was international students. So you're coming with an even greater variety of perspectives. And a lot of the people in my program were about like 5 years older, 10 years older, like somewhere in that range, like mid to older 20s. So it's like you are interacting and become friends with a lot of people who have a lot more life experience than you, and maybe a lot more understanding in the business world. And it was just like a complete blessing to be in a group project with these people and learn these things from them. And so I'd say overall, the program just taught me to think so far outside of the box. Um, and also it's like there's not one way to live life. There's not one way to go about, your career, your goals. And I think that program definitely was a large part of opening my eyes to other possibilities.
Yeah. Do you have any plans to stay connected with the world of soccer, perhaps through coaching or mentorships?
I'm very up in the air right now with that. I definitely will. How soon that's gonna happen, I'm not sure. The mentorship aspect of it, I would love to be in.
Mhm.
And I think like even just like telling you my story, but it's like a lot of people they remember the girl who was an All-American. And I'm like, I remember the girl who was failing her fitness test and crying on the phone with her dad. That's, I remember both sides of the equation. And I think sometimes people see the success so much that they forget like the journey it took to get there. Um, so I would definitely do mentorship. Coaching, maybe we'll see. But the mentorship aspect, I would love to.
Yeah. Um, what advice would you give young athletes balancing academics and sports?
I would say set a schedule and stick to it. So if you, so TCU for us, TCU athletics did a great job my freshman year of like helping us get acclimated with this. So I remember being mad about this at the time, but grateful for it in the long run. Um, but it would be like I had my classes like early in the morning, and then it'd be like 12:30 to 2. You have tutoring, which sometimes isn't even necessarily tutoring. It's just like this is a time where you come to the athletic build or the academic building and you're gonna focus on getting whatever work done that you need to get done.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe I wouldn't have done that had they not put that in the schedule. Maybe I'd have been like, oh, let's go eat out with my friends for lunch or something like that. I got practice till 3:30.
Yeah.
Um, so they definitely kind of set the standard for the schedule I needed to have in like allocating specific time to my studies because, they kind of have the athletic part shaped out for you. Um, but it's on you to continue what they implement for you when it comes to the academic aspect of it. And so for me, it's definitely getting a schedule and like my old trainer used to say, she's like, be where your feet are at. And so it's like when you're in the study session, give your best in that study session, whatever, an hour, hour and a half, however long it is. And then you can move on to the next thing. You'll feel accomplished because you did what you need to do during that time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Who has been your biggest inspiration or a mentor on and off the field?
Uh, Cliche answer, but my parents. My parents definitely. And I think that just stems from seeing all the sacrifices they've made for me, um, as well as hearing their stories about them being athletes and everything like that and what it took for them. And just also hearing those stories, it makes me realize like times were a lot harder for them for certain things. And so I'm like, okay, I got it a little bit good.
Yeah. At least you understand and know.
Yes, no. Hearing stories, I'm like, oh, that's how it was. But yeah.
Yeah, last couple questions. Looking back, what would you tell your younger self, if you could tell them anything? And what do you want your legacy to be when you hang up your soccer cleats?
To younger me, I would say believe in yourself even when nobody else believes in you. So that would definitely be my number one. And I'd say my legacy, um, I want to be, and I think I am mostly remembered um, as someone who worked hard, showed up, and was there for everyone who was on the team with her as well. Um, I think that it's important. And I guess for me, it was like some people can see it as like you're this person with all these accolades and X, Y, and Z. And to me, especially like senior and grad year, I'm like looking at the freshmen, it's like everything you're going through, I went through. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like everything you're going through, I went through. The coach is saying this to you, they said that 10 times to me. It's gonna be okay. And so I definitely want to be remembered as someone who was there for the other people during those times. And I think I'll be remembered as someone who was a big cheerleader and advocate for my teammates.
Yeah, and can you give the Wyoming Storm girls soccer team words of encouragement?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Play this on they and share this with them.
Wyoming Storm. I want you guys to know that y'all are going to do amazing in whatever you want to do in this lifetime. Believe in yourself and work hard toward whatever goals you set for yourself. I know you'll do amazing.
Thank you. All right, so to end it, I got some questions for you. Got some questions for you.
Okay.
What was your soccer cleat by choice? Was it Adidas or Nike, or did y'all have another brand?
Nike. Nike always.
What was the vibes pregame? Did you listen to music? Did you have a song? Did you get the aux cord? What was the vibes?
I was never on aux. Blasting music always. We had some little team like rituals of like little dances we would do. So there are certain songs they would play and everybody be like, okay, it's time to get up and dance for this one. Yeah. So definitely just good vibes, blasting music.
If you could work at Abbott Elementary, what role would you play?
Oh, I want to be Ava.
I want to work with the janitor. I want to be his assistant. And how do you feel about Jenny and Gregory?
I love them. I love them.
I'm like, man, y'all need to quit playing to get together. Which characters on Abbott Elementary could you relate to the most and why?
What do I want to be? I'm gonna go back to Ava. Because she's just authentically who she is. And I love it.
What was your favorite episode or scene from the show?
Okay, anything where Zach Fox is doing something dumb is my favorite because he's hilarious.
Yeah. So if you went out to order hibachi, what would be on your dish or your menu to order?
I love hibachi, first of all. Filet and chicken. Filet and chicken. Yep.
If you could invite 3 people to join you at a hibachi table, who would they be?
My nieces. So 2 of my nieces. And I'll go my mom. Yeah. Family thing.
Yeah. What was your favorite moment or line from The Notebook?
Oh, I don't even remember all the lines, but I cry a lot to that movie.
Do you think, okay, next question. Do you think Noah and Allie's love story is realistically or just a fantasy?
A little bit of both. You never know. In a La La Land, it might work out like that.
Okay, if you could act in a movie like The Notebook, what kind of love story would you want to tell?
What kind of love story would I want to tell? The story where the girl is super successful and this guy is like a creative and he's trying to get her attention. Yep, that's my storyline.
Yeah, that's dope. To end it, to you, God is like what?
God is everything. I guess that's the simplest way to say it. He's in everything and he's with you always.
Yep. Great way to end it. But we're spotlighting you, Brandi, for all your hard work on the field, in the classroom, and what you are doing and what you are going to be doing. May God give you favor. May he give you the insight, the direction. May he give you favor even when it comes to thinking about your business. May he put you around all the people that you need to be to make whatever you're going to do be amazing and have his hands in it too. Brandi, you have everything you need inside you to be great. So continue to walk in your purpose on purpose.
Thank you. Received. Ladies
and gentlemen, Brandi Peterson.
Thank you.